Hi, I'm Zoe McEwen, course consultant with the UK Academy of Wedding and Event Planning. And today I'm going to be talking to one of our students, Olga Hartnady, about how she's managing to fit it all in and what her career hopes and dreams are. And she's already doing lots, so there's lots to talk about. So, hi Olga.
Hi Zoe.
Thank you for joining us.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That's all right. We were just talking, and I know it's a busy day for you, and you know, things are really picking up, and you've you know, getting yourself out there with work. But let's just, if we can, go back to the beginning about before you enrolled on the course. What were you doing?
Before I enrolled in the course, I enrolled in the course after I planned my own wedding, and it just kind of inspired me to get into the events and weddings because it's such a happy occasion. You know, it is stressful, but it's nice. And everyone who I'm actually talked about, like the suppliers and the caterers, they were also nice and positive because they are united by this one, you know, wonderful occasion. But my main work job was I was a flight attendant on a private jet. And so I was traveling on the same plane with a family all over the world. And it's actually, I had a lot of similar duties, you know, kind of to this one, because I would source caterings in different locations. I would source florists and flower arrangements. I would decorate, you know, the plane, especially during the festive season with like little trees and this, or if they would go on a vacation somewhere, you know, we might do, you know, like thing related to the location where they were going. And kind of like this kind of service was always in me, and it was always my passion. And I'm a very organized person, and you have to, you know, when you're doing plannings and trips in a different time zones with the different people with the different requests, and you know, also tracking your own expenses and your own roster. So it's kind of, you know, a lot already that I did was similar. So
yeah,
and I loved it, and I love filing and planning and organizing and sourcing and chatting to people and looking, you know, what can be done, and you know, hopefully in the end have beautiful, you know, plane to go to have a trip or an event.
That's a lovely job, you know.
Yeah, it was.
Great if you're single and, you know, got no commitments and can be, you know, flying off at a moment's notice, but then your life changes, doesn't it?
Exactly, that was the whole point. And when I got pregnant, I obviously could not fly anymore, so I did some work on the ground. And I was already married at that point, and I already planned my own wedding, and I got kind of, you know, hooked, let's put it this way. And I thought, well, that's a perfect opportunity. I have time, you know, and I started doing it. Then, you know, baby was born, and it was all crazy. But after about 8-9 months, you know, we were more in a routine, so I came back and finished the course, and then, you know, talk to my husband, and it's like, you can't go back to your old job. Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, that's what I really want to do. He's like, okay. He was very supportive, and he's like, let's put, you know, our son a couple of days in the nursery, so you have this, you know, like free time, and not just, you know, scheduling calls around nap times or something. And then, you know, you also time when I can go and meet people. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. That's kind of like
that is again something. It's kind of, it's up to you to make it happen.
Yes.
So we could all, or you could have said and sort of made those excuses for yourself and said, well, you know, I just can't get out to these, or I just can't fit it in, or I was going to do something and then it was a really bad day, or or I can't, you know. We all do that a little bit with things, but at some point, like your husband stepping in and saying, we can make this work. If you're going to do this, we've got to do it.
Yeah.
And saying, let's put the child, let's, you know, use the resources, spend the money, and make it work. And I think that's, you know, what you have to do. And once you've got that commitment, then you can kind of move forward with it. It's that bit where you're a bit in between. You don't quite, you know.
Yeah, and especially, you know, like our first months in the nursery was horrible. miserable. He didn't like it, crying, not eating, hunger strike, not sleeping. But now it's all fine. Yeah, I know. I was at the point taking him back, and finding other solution like a nanny or something. But I can't have them here, like, because I need to work and make calls and arrangements. But now it's all fine, and it's actually such a relief, because like yesterday, I dropped him off, and then I went to the meeting with a couple, and I had like 2 hours, very productive with them. And on my way home, I did switch phone off, and then on my way home, I was like, I had a missed call from my husband, missed call from my nursery. But at the end, it was all fine. They were just kind of just keeping me in the loop. But I had a peace of mind knowing, that he is fine, and I can concentrate on work. And like you say, not to make these excuses. It's like, oh, like I really can't go meet supplier today because what if, this and that. But it is a mindset. And I did a little bit in the beginning, especially when you kind of, you don't know where to start, And I was making excuses maybe the first couple of weeks, but now
it's confidence as well. The confidence to get out there, and like you say, you don't know where to start. So you're thinking, okay, well, what shall I do? And you sort of got those hours to yourself, and you think, well, it's fair enough. He's at nursery. I'm here. Now what do I do? Where do I start? But, take some things from the course, some information, email you to just say, I'm at home now. What do I do? Where do I start? Just kind of very simple and very small steps. You're not going to suddenly walk out the door and find work. You have to
absolutely.
Up slowly.
And actually, the big thing that helped was the Facebook group that you created, because you can see kind of like a lot of people are on the same level, just starting and not knowing like where to do, and like trying, to find these bits and pieces. But everyone, I would expect people being competitive, because we all kind of ego, for the same piece of cake, if you know what I mean. But it was completely opposite. Everyone is so supportive and like exchanging ideas, commenting on like new logo designs. It's also like very inspiring as well, and you're like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it as well. I need my logo, done.
I agree. We haven't long set it up, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, something. But it has worked really well. And even I'm looking on it and they're saying, oh, I used such and such for this. And I'm thinking, oh, that's good. I'll get that app. So we're all learning and we're all sharing. And I think there is this thing that in the industry we should be, in competition with each other. But really, I don't think we see it like that at the Academy, because I think the more wedding planners there are out there, the more really good wedding planners there are out there, the better, because more people will use them, and our brand and our name as a whole group, the whole wedding planners will grow and can only get better the more of us that are established and working well out there. And it will, hopefully, the industry is definitely growing, certainly with the design world and things like that. People are wanting lots more different ideas now. So there's lots more scope for wedding planners, and I think it's only a positive the more of us that there are out there. So, and again, you come to realize that everybody's slightly different. So we're not all presenting the same thing. We're not all going to work for the same clients. We have our different little niche that we're going to fit into. And I think that becomes clearer when you see all the other people studying the course. Your niche
absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that, like it was in my head kind of, about the competition and this and that. But when I start contacting different wedding planners and companies, a lot of people don't reply you, I had like loads and loads of emails, introduction emails, but the one who do reply, they're so supportive. And I did a couple of years ago, when I just first enrolled in this course, I attended a workshop of wedding planner Dominic Douglas in stylish events. She does it in Canary Wharf, I believe. And it was amazing, like kind of her first introduction of herself. And she said, excuse me, she said that she doesn't want to keep things to herself. She wants to share, and she wants to inspire more and more people, to go into event planning and wedding planning, because, it's an amazing business and you get so much out of it, if you are the right person to do that. And it's also gave me that kick, at that time, because people were so welcoming, kind of, not like reserved. I was like, oh, who are you? Why are you coming here? What do you want to do? Like, that's my territory. But completely opposite, And
I think I've learned over my time working with the academy and tutoring that you just can't tell who or what people will end up being. So you cannot know who will make the most fabulous success of their business, who will change tack and go off and do something else, who, it's possible for absolutely everybody. Those people that start at the course in the beginning, very tentative, not really very sure, very simple answers, simple documents, sometimes other people that really learn the most, and then go off and do wonderful things. So, the journey is different for everybody. And as you sit, like you said, listening to that talk, what she's kind of saying is, if you want to do it, you can do it. It's out there. You can get it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's exciting. Exciting when you start out, doing that and thinking, okay, so I'm going to do this now. So you did the course and you've managed to fit the course in because that's online, and so that worked around everything else.
Oh, that was amazing. And I even started while I was still working, so I would be in a different locations, and just in the evening in my hotel room, I would log in, and start doing the unit. Just most of the time, it would be just reading and watching the videos and listening to the podcast, and then, coming back home and actually putting all things together and start to work on a project, or even doing it there, but no, that was amazing. Like, I would never have been able to do it if I would have to go 2 or 3 times a week in a location, even if it would be near my home. It's just, it's too much. You have engagements that are the plans, and you're not feeling well. But when it's online, and everything is now becoming online, you talk to your clients and to your suppliers through Skype. How amazing is that?
And I think that again is another element to think about with the course, because it does teach you, and some people aren't, maybe you weren't so much, but some people aren't using their computers all the time, or their phones, or a laptop, or an iPad, and the course gets you into that, doing that, to using your computer the best way you can, to looking for the best apps, looking for software, looking for ways that you can keep things that you can keep and use in the future, making templates, setting patterns of work is also important. If you're going to go into this new industry, working for yourself perhaps to begin with, or if you're getting a job with somebody, but just making sure that you can, keep that motivation for yourself, set targets, set tasks, all things which a wedding planner needs to do. And that's kind of a secondary thing that the course hopefully teaches you.
I think it's also a lot when, you start working for yourself and creating your own business and your own name. You're more driven kind of, to succeed, because that's all you have, that's your life. When you start working for someone, I think it's less kind of motivation, you probably will learn more because you will see this, wonderful example in front of your eyes. But I think it will be less motivation. In the beginning, while I was doing the course, I thought to myself, I want to join, the existing company, because you really don't know where to start, and, not knowing the suppliers and, how it's done and da-da-da. But as I was doing it, and a lot of units and projects, you end up having a lot of material that you can use, for the real life, events that you're going to plan. I decided to myself that I actually don't want it. I want to work alongside them and maybe, in the beginning help out to get, to know kind of, what's is their pattern and how do they do that. But I definitely want to do it, for myself, because I think for my personality, it's just going to motivate me more to work harder.
I agree, absolutely. I mean, everybody is different and takes a slightly different route. And maybe, like you said, you didn't even know what route you were going to take when you started the course. You're just exploring and seeing where it takes you. So as you mentioned there, you have started your own business.
Yes, I have.
Great website. So what's your website?
My website called is OH Weddings London, and OH is my initials for Olga Hartnady. And originally, I thought that I want to do it in London, and I want to plan weddings in London for London-based couples, or couples from elsewhere who want to do it in London. But now I'm actually more open to other possibilities. And after meeting the couple that you introduced me to, and they're having wedding in France, it is more complicated, when you do a destination wedding. But the couple is in London, so actually we can do a lot of things here, and discuss a lot of things. All I need is just source it out there, which I probably will end up sourcing the same way. I'm just not sourcing in England, I'm sourcing in France. So it's definitely opened, that I don't need really to limit myself. I know that, like as you said earlier, and as we were told on the course, you need to find your niche, you need to find your market. But when you're just starting, you really don't know where you want to fit in. So I kind of, spread myself out there everywhere. I don't say no to the job because it's an experience. And after a time, hopefully, hopefully sooner rather than later, I will see, where my business will fit in and how, I can develop it, and maybe, end up doing a slightly different thing. Because at the moment, I want to do everything, I want to do the whole planning, but if the couple doesn't want it, I'm happy to help on the day, or I'm happy just to help source the venue, or specific catering. For me, it doesn't matter. But I know, and with a few wedding planners that I spoke with a lovely lady. She, for example, does only on the day coordination, and this is how she targets, how she gets business. And that's another, but for me, I'm such a like, I don't want to say like control freak or OCD, but I would be upset, if I'm coordinating the wedding and then something is not happening, and it's not actually my fault, but I will feel like it is, because I'm the person, who needs to make sure that it runs smoothly on the day.
I think that's normal for every wedding planner. And I think what you've said is true, that it is quite, happens a lot, is that you put your business out there and you brand it, and then you think a year later, I'm just going to tweak this, because I now know the clients that are finding me, or I know the clients that I want to find, and there's a difference, and they're either not finding me because they're not liking the look of my website, or they're not finding me because I'm not advertising the right things, or I'm not finding, so in a year's time, you'll come back round, or maybe sooner or a bit later, and you'll probably review it all again. I
think so too.
I've had my website now maybe 8 years, and I'm just thinking, I was just awake this morning thinking, I really need to do it again. I need to kind of change it up. Things change. It's not just even about my target audience that I'm, it's just colors and all of that kind of stuff. Style of websites has changed so quickly as well.
Yeah.
The look of websites. So you're just keeping on top of that, keeping on top of your business is really important. And, the course helps you to identify that. So
absolutely. Without the course, I wouldn't even know where to start and, how to do it. And it gave a lot of, and what I also liked, it was not the direct order, 1, 2, 3, how you need to do it. It was more like a direction and a push for you to explore and find for yourself what will work for you. Because, some people like myself, very comfortable with social media. So for me, that's a huge thing. And I've invested a lot, putting my business in a wedding directories and advertising with with blogs or wedding websites, and then kind of tweeting about it and putting Instagram and like doing Pinterest and connecting with all those people and following and retweeting them. It takes quite a lot of time. Like I'm always on the phone and my husband is like, stop texting. What it is? Like, I'm not texting. I'm tweeting about this.
I know it is. I'm working. It's constant. And if you're going to make it a success of the business, you need to have a plan for that, and you need to make it work. And then learn to schedule stuff as well, so that you get your time off. You know, I spent yesterday morning scheduling, quite a lot of things, so they were ready, so they'll go out without me needing to, so that over the next few weeks, when I'm really quite busy with some stuff with weddings, I don't have to think about that so much. But it will still happen. I can't stop. If you kind of, step back from it a little bit, then it just disappears very quickly, and it's harder to get back into. So I'd rather spend that time and schedule and sort of get ahead at the times when I need to, because we all have to, we know we're going to be busy or not. So if just go back to the you were talking about the wedding. So one of our students was working on a wedding with a couple in France. And she had to stop working with that couple because she had some work commitments and some change of plans. And so she asked us if we could match another student to help this couple. And very quickly, within the space of a couple of days, it's worked really well, and we've managed to match you. So the couple are getting married in France, aren't they? So they needed a French-English speaker, somebody that could do that for them. So you were the perfect choice. And you've met them yesterday. So was that the first meeting yesterday, or had you met them before?
No, it was our first meeting.
Okay. So as you said, that kind of opened your eyes to, organising weddings in France, and actually it's not going to be that much different for you. You already know enough about France to do that. For somebody who's English, that would be tricky because of the different laws and regulations and things like that. But for you, it was a great opportunity. And I think it's just about grabbing all of those opportunities and making them fit in, isn't it? Exactly.
I was just, thinking to myself, at first I was like, oh, France, like, how can I do that? And I'm like, well, we'll try. Of course I can, and if like something is not going to be working out right away, you just work hard or maybe find a different approach. And it's also about, a couple, and they are just so lovely. Very, of course, excited and positive. That's that. But, there is like something else that they're actually very different to, for example, me and my husband as a couple. But they're just so pleasant. And the bride is Russian, like I am. So we clicked immediately on that. And she was like, oh, and if you're going to travel with us to be there, during the event, it will be so helpful. My father doesn't speak any word of English or very little English,
So you'll be
actually talk to you.
The best.
Yeah, she's like, talk to you.
You're going to be everything.
Yeah, and the groom is Polish. I don't know much about it, but it's not relevant. It's just the international couple, like myself and my husband, and they kind of I had to take a step back yesterday, listening to them talk about the wedding, because it's reminded me myself, 3 years ago, 3 years ago, because I was like, I want everything. I actually I don't know what I want, but if you tell me what I want that. And it was very hard because I was trying to navigate them through the questions about like, what is the most important? What is the least important? What do you want to have? And they were like, kind of like, oh, we don't know. We want everything. The most important thing, everything is important. But, after, like, when we repeat the question again, and especially what helped me.
Budget.
Yeah, and also what helped me is kind of, giving them examples from my own wedding or the wedding that I've attended or helped to plan my girlfriend's, and saying that, oh, you know what, we wanted that and we did that, but it actually didn't work. And one wedding we attended year was actually a wedding in France. And it opened my eyes a lot about like suppliers and how you work and how you communicate. And I was actually telling them that, I was like, are you sure? Like, are you sure that's what you want? If we can try, but
Absolutely.
it's possibly not going to work because, you know, ABC. And
that's the right attitude though, and that's what you learn. And sometimes even now still you try to maneuver it to either things which you know are safe and work well, and that's how you would like to organize it, or maneuver to things which you like yourself and you think, no, I mustn't do that because this is their wedding and it's their choice. And you're absolutely right that in the end what you do is you say, this and this might be problems with that, but if that's what you want, then we'll go as far as we can to trying to organise it. I'll let you know along the way, and then we can just make those decisions as we go. It might or might not work, but absolutely we'll have a try. There's always a compromise, and you should always make them feel like you are, you know, you're going to try to make that work for them. You can't know unless you've got an absolute no. You cannot have fireworks at that venue. Then think of something. Is there somewhere else, if you desperately want fireworks, can we go down the road and have the fireworks there on the way to the venue? Or, you know, there's always, you know, ways around it.
Yeah. And the thing about them, this particular couple, is they're very open, you know, to everything, and they take all the ideas and suggestions. There are a few things that they're very like certain on. Like we spent a lot of time yesterday discussing the music, and you know, they want live music through all of the event. But then, you know, there is a noise regulation, and there is, you know, the fact that the band needs to take breaks. Like, what is going to happen? Is like everything going to stop? And
you're absolutely right, because that is part of your job to point that out to them. And they will have just, like you said, got carried away with and not thought about the logistics. So that's what we're there for. But I think it's
and in the end, it's like not just logistic. I also like, you know, guys, they got to charge you like, you know, X amount of money just for this 2 sets. You want to cover the whole wedding, it's going to be 5 of those sets. Like, multiply it. Like, is it really worth it? You know, or maybe you just get, you know, a very nice sound system and a good DJ who can do it. Like, you just need the band to set the mood and kick off, you know, the dancing part and the fun part. But you actually don't need them, you know, the whole time. And most of them won't even agree, you know, to do that. But they were like, no, can you find out? I was like, oh, of course I can, you know, I can find out.
That's exactly the right advice. And I'm so glad that we were able to match the 2 of you together, and that you're going to get that experience. And hopefully, you know, if you can agree with them, that you can have some of the pictures from the wedding. Not only, you know, are they going to fly you over there to be there, and all the excitement of that. It just gives you that feeling of I know now why I want to do this job. You know, I absolutely, my favourite bit of all of my job is when I meet them for the first time. You know, it's not even the wedding day. You know, that's kind of busy and pulling everything together, and I like it when it's over and everything's done and it all worked really well. But the bit I look forward to the most, and the bit that I find the most rewarding, the thing that I wanted to feel, that gives me that feeling, is that first meeting, when I meet them for the first time and hear all the different things that they're, you know, their personality, like you say, their ideas. I love that. So I've been, you know, it's good that we've been able to match that for you.
Oh no, absolutely. It was amazing. You know, like just like looking at the Pinterest board, like what they already pulled in together, and you know, just chatting, and you feel like I'm very I'm a strong believer in this kind of, you know, first impression. And I know that, you know, it can go wrong and it can change, but there is always like this feeling, you know, when you meet people, you know, for the first time, knowing if it's gonna work or not, in terms like of anything, not just, you know, working together, but you know, your possible new friendship or something. And I had just such an amazing, you know, feeling from them. They were all so warm and welcoming, and I mean, I hope they felt the same about me.
Well, you're never quite sure till you, I mean, obviously till you get that call back. For you, you're kind of in there, and hopefully that's fine and they've agreed to work with you. But sometimes you go on that first meeting and you think it went well, and then you come back and you think, oh, they haven't really, you know, you get back in touch with them and you think, I'm not really maybe, you know, it didn't work, or maybe most of the time, I think what happens is people just decide they don't need a wedding planner. Sometimes they do, and they use you as a way of getting ideas. You know, they get you to come round and maybe sort of take things from what you say. You have to be cautious with what you say and that information. But anyway, yeah, it's all great, and I'm so glad for you. So you're also finding other things yourself. You said today you're going off to help with a wedding in Kew Gardens. So how did you get into that? How did you find other things as well?
Yeah, so you know what, it just started when I was looking for the way to advertise my company. I went to different blogs, you know, and or like wedding suppliers directory, and I don't remember like on which one. I found those couple of websites of wedding planners in London. So I went on their websites, I looked at their Pinterest boards or Instagram, and some I really liked. And I just send them email, you know, like describing myself and where I stand. And I said, like, listen, I know it's like November, but if you have any events coming up and you just need extra pair of hands, you know, to be there, to do something, I'm very happy. Like, here's my website. We can meet, talk, la la la. A few ladies replied, some don't, but the one who replied, they always, you know, very positive kind of. So I met this wedding planner, her name is Liz. We met in Chelsea, and she was like, listen, I have this wedding in 2 weeks, and it's in Kew Gardens, and they're using the same room for ceremony and then for the dinner. So she says, while they're having like drinks and canapes, we have 2 hours to completely undo everything that was done and set it for the dinner.
All right, yeah.
She's like, I work myself, and sometimes because I have one, you know, person helping me, but she's like, I need more than one. So if you're available on the 20th of November, you know, I would love to have you. And I'm like, sure. And also, you know, again, meeting her and having this coffee with her and talking about how like she came from a different background. She was doing PR in fashion, you know, and then she just kind of did the events, but it was very similar. She's like, I knew I need to stop. I knew, you know, I need to concentrate and, you know, move a bit, you know, my career in a different direction. And she's also actually talking, she says that she has more workload now, and she's actually thinking about having a permanent person, you know, always there helping. And yeah, I mean, we'll see. She has also another event, I think on the 5th of December or something. I
think what you're doing is right. You're just getting out there and being open to stuff. If you do more things with her, and then it moves into something a bit more where you get paid for what you do, or you work with her, and then your site develops into something else as well as, and the two can run alongside. There's lots of ways to diversify. You might blogging or destination weddings or.
No, exactly. That's the point. And also, like, for me is kind of, you know, see this inside job, you know, how the person who's done it for like last 5 years, how does she do it, you know?
Great experience for you, but also you can get some cards and information from the suppliers. So see who the florist is.
I'm coming with a big bag. I'm coming with a big handbag.
Yeah. And then feel that buzz when you come back and you think, wow, that's going to be a really, you know, that's a really great event. And I want to be part of that. And then that will kind of get you going again and fires you up again. So, you know, it is important to just take every opportunity. The experience is, if you can, and you've got the time and you can fit it in, is brilliant. So I think you're doing really well. And, so for you now, you're just kind of, you know, carrying on with that. You've got your website and your brand, and you're, you know, tweaking that. What do you think is going to be your biggest challenge, or has been your biggest challenge so far? To, you know, do you think you're over that bit, or do you think that's still to come?
No, I think it's still to come, because I still yet, you know, to book the client, not, you know, through like not someone else's or not through, you know, recommendation. I still need to get over, you know, this kind of first contact, first meeting, yes, no, will they book me, will they not? And I think it's also kind of, you know, this time of the year that it will have to be a bit quiet, you know, in terms of like me helping out some other planners and getting this experience done. January and February usually, you know, like dead. So I'm kind of a bit anxious about this coming, you know, those coming months. But hopefully, you know, if I will be able to book summer wedding, for example, you know, I will spend that time concentrating on planning those events. It's and also, you know what, I forgot to mention, I've got a lot of contacts from kind of local suppliers, like florists and catering company, leaving me feedback, filling forms on my website and asking for collaboration. I had a few phone calls with some of them. I mean, most of them, I mean, they kind of want you to provide the job, but there was one lady who does flowers. She was actually wanting my help with one of her events, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Not, you know, not coming for me to job, but kind of offering, you know, because she saw that she's very local, you know, like 5 minutes, you know, in a car.
Yeah.
I just got more on that. Yeah,
those relationships are really good, and word of mouth will be the thing once you do start to get yourself out. Oh, I know a girl down the road, she's great, you know, let's put the two of you together. But if you have got those people locally and contacting you through your website, then maybe think about getting them together for a styled shoot.
I thought about that already.
In those quiet months, styled shoots are brilliant to do. And also in these quiet months, they're months when actually maybe quiet for weddings, but a lot of things happen for engagements. So, you know, over Christmas, New Year, January, there are loads of new engaged couples. And then come Valentine's Day, which is not long after, you get lots more. So
that's true.
Plan your blogs. I would be writing now editorial pieces, articles, anything you can, and getting them out to the wedding magazines, because they will be planning for their January and Valentine's issues already. Seeing what you can do, seeing what angle you can have on your company, what you can offer them, and they'll be trying to fill their space in their magazines. So just start thinking about that and thinking about your blog, thinking about promotions, maybe special offers, ways to draw people in January and Valentine's Day, because they're they're the really big times when you get those newly engaged couples. So they might be quiet for weddings, but they're really crucial for you for your new business. Yeah,
you're so right. You're so right. Need to write it down and more to doing.
Anyway, I'm going to leave you now. Thank you so much, because I know you're going out in a bit off to your wedding, and you've got to cook the lunch in between and look after everybody as we do. Yeah. So, but have a lovely time. Are you going to be there all day? You're going to be there till like this evening?
Yes. It's about from like noon till 8 or something like that.
Okay, busy day then.
Yeah, but I'm so excited. You know, I woke up this morning. It's like kind of like you wake up on a Christmas day, you know. I think I'm more excited than a bride.
That's when you know you've got it right. That's when you know you've chosen the right job, when the job excites you and you're so happy, even though you're not getting paid.
I know. Well, that's the bit I need to work on.
But that's fine. You're doing all the right things. So I'm so pleased for you.
Thank you so much.
We will meet hopefully next Thursday. We're doing drinks.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to that. And actually, I don't know if you heard, but Hannah might not be able to be there.
I saw that. Yeah.
So I will be there, kind of just taking over.
We'll recognise each other now. We've done the video chat.
Exactly. I'm so looking forward to see everyone in person.
I might not be there exactly at 7:30 because I've got a wedding meeting prior in London, so I'll just get a cab across.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, lovely. Thank you for talking to us, and I'll see you next Thursday. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Bye. See you.
Bye.